Breaking news today, folks. With about 10 days until November 5th, we have Donald Trump tying in the popular vote for the first time ever. Yes, you've actually heard that right. He's tied. Tied, yes. He's not only is he winning in the swing states by 1% right here. Not only is he winning every single one of the 7 swing states right now, but he's also tied in the national popular vote. The thing he lost apparently by 4.6 percentage points to Joe Biden, but also by 2.1 to Hillary. Yeah, he's tied. And the reason why is because look at these recent polls. In fact, when you look at the biggest one out of these top five, you'll see that New York Times, which again is a very liberal publication to say the least, has Trump tied 48 to 48% Harris, Trump. And so, frankly, a tie is historic. In fact, just look at this chart. You've never seen Trump above Kamala in the popular vote ever since the convention in August and when Biden withdraws. Okay, if you remember, Kamala had the sugar high for a few months, but then all of a sudden, almost a week away from Halloween now, and we see that Trump and Kamala are officially tied, which again is insane. Insane. Trump has never been leading a candidate other than maybe Joe Biden post salinity. So this is remarkable. Now, the momentum just doesn't stop there. Obviously, when you look at the early vote updates, it seems really, 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 really clear that states like Arizona and other places such as that are having unprecedented amounts of Republican turnout, which, in contrast to the Democrats, show an anemic and lacking performance when it comes to, again, the early vote numbers. And you can contrast this with North Carolina, which again is also providing record numbers of Republican turnout, and Nevada as well. And then you've got places like Georgia, which the black turnout of which is about 12 points below where they needed to be. Democrats, that is. So the news is looking all fantastic all at the same time. And keep in mind, by the way, that Trump has all the momentum, like I said. Basically, think about it. Today, Friday, he's going to have the Joe Rogan interview, which is going to be fantastic because not only is it something where, oh, he's going to convince the voters on the live stream or whatever that they're going to vote for Trump. That isn't even the point, in my opinion. The point is that debate, or sorry, that podcast will control the news cycle more than the average thing does. The average news cycle is quite literally 24 hours. But with the Rogan podcast, if he does it for hours, then odds are there's going to be so many clips. It'll probably dominate the airwaves, so to speak, for 2 or 3 days. And that would, again, run the clock down for Donald Trump. And right now, he's leading by a ton. Proof in the pudding, obviously, let's look at the betting odds. You see that Trump is up by 22, 60 to 38 for Kamala Harris. You see how far Donald Trump is spiking right now, and it's looking remarkable. So as you can see here, Trump is doing fantastic. And again, when you're already up by 20%, when you do get to do an interview with Rogan and you get to stall for 3 days, that's fantastic news for Donald Trump. And again, it makes it so that it becomes all the more suffocating for Harris as she becomes all the more desperate, throwing these Hail Mary passes when she's down by 20 in the fourth quarter. It's going to be increasingly difficult for her to kick an onside kick and actually get it done. So, like I said, Donald Trump controlling the airwaves for another 3 days will suffocate her odds of winning because she'll have less of a chance to actually pull it out. More good news. We have a big election update out of the state of Pennsylvania, the largest one in the map, really. You see that the request for Republicans was 19,000 ballots requested, whereas for Democrats, it's about 14,000. So again, Republicans are up by 5,200. But what makes it all the more impressive, obviously, is that the Dem firewall, and again, I don't know if you guys know about this, but basically the Democrats have a lot of legacy registrations in Pennsylvania. So, for instance, when Trump won in 2016, there were still several hundred of thousands more Democrats registered and voting than Republicans, and he still won. Reason being is that obviously there was a lot of Democrats, that voted for Obama, but then Trump. And so that kind of explains it. Reagan Democrats, you get what I'm talking about. All right. So then the point being is that when you look at it, the Dems firewall is only 372,000 votes above what the Republican registration data is. Whereas when you look at the decline relatively, they were at 728,000. So they've lost several hundred thousand votes. And so they're down by a ton. And the margin of victory, by the way, for Joe Biden in 2020, if you believe the result, is that he won it by 80,000. So, if anything, this is insane for a couple different reasons. Obviously, because if the Republicans are, let's say, 350,000 votes better off when it comes to registration disadvantage, then it makes all the more clear that that 80,000 vote margin is going to be very easily flipped in this case for Donald Trump's benefit. And I mean, when you look at this, you'll notice that the Dems wanted a firewall of about 500,000 ballots. They wanted to be ahead of Republicans by 500,000 if they had a good shot of winning. And truly, had that been the case, it would only be a toss-up for Harris. Now it's looking like at this rate, they're going to have a firewall of maybe 300,000. And at that point, obviously, they're underscoring by hundreds of thousands of ballots. Look at the CNN coverage, by the way. I mean, there you go, Clinton News Network. But anyway, the point being is like, just look at this. They're saying Donald Trump has a good chance of winning the popular vote, according to the clip right here. Isn't that insane? When would you have thought that CNN would be covering Trump as probably getting the popular vote? How the hell could any of these pundits making a trillion times more money than I do, because they get millions, I get nothing for this. But guess what? Guess what? They are saying with a straight face, oh, Kamala's still leading. What? Are you kidding me? So even some people of the rank and file are breaking off and are hedging their bets. I mean, just look at this. Compare and contrast. Clinton was up this day in October by 6, Biden by 9, and Harris is now by only 1% as of a few days ago. But again, she's tied now. Alrighty, folks, and to wrap up the video, let's address the New York Times poll that finally put Trump at a tied level with Kamala Harris in the popular vote total. Well, if we look at the October version of the New York Times poll 4 years ago for the Biden election, you'll notice that Biden was projected to be ahead by 9. He only won by 4.5, so again, they were off by a ton. But also, look at this. There have been changes in the demography of the country. Obviously, Trump has improved with every single voter demographic, basically, in the New York Times poll. When you look at the back data, you'll see that white college support went from Democrat 19 during Biden's era to Democrat by 15. Again, so that's a 4-point improvement in this election cycle. White non-college educated, Trump won those by 23 last election. Now he's winning them by 30. So again, 23 to 30, he's up 7. Black support. Blacks went for Biden by 86. Blacks are now going for Harris by 68. So that's an 18-point shift. Not so much that Trump gained 18% of the black vote, but just that the Democrats and Kamala lost the black vote relative to white vanilla Joe Biden, which is insane. Ice Baby has better riz than obviously Kamala. But anyway, you'll see that the Hispanic support went from negative 20 for Trump to now it's, what is it now? Negative 9. So again, the Hispanic margin of loss for the Republicans is now less than half of what it was last time. Okay, so he's only losing the Hispanic vote by 9. If you recall, in 2004, Bush also lost the Hispanic vote by about 10 to 12, and he won the popular vote. So interesting to look at that through the prism I just mentioned. But also, men right here, you look at this. He won those by 6 last election. He's winning them by 14 now. Amazing. Women, he lost them by, is that 23? And then now he's actually losing them by only 12. So when you look at it, he doubled his margin with men. In the positive, he cut his deficit by over half with women. He cut his deficit by over half with Hispanics. He massively increased his proportion of the black vote. His white non-college is exploding, and he's also tempered the losses with the white Democratic college-aged Americans. So there you go. Amazing, amazing results. And even more evidence as to why this is really a white pill. White pill, like my shirt, is again a positive piece of news, like a sugar pill. Okay, today's New York Times poll responders voting recall was Biden 52 to 45, which is a +7 margin. Now, get this. When you do pollsters, when pollsters conduct surveys, they'll get a number of like, well, we want vaguely, 50-50 Trump voters, Biden voters from 2020. In this case, they had a net like 7% more Biden voters in the poll than Trump, and yet Trump still gained in the poll. So if you really adjust it, and you even it out, you add Trump like 3 or 4 points across the board to even the whole thing out, then those results would get even rosier. So these are amazing, amazing, amazing calculations for this to be the case is absolutely astounding. And I mean, this is just phenomenal. So anyway, Here we can see that Biden was up this day 4 years ago by 8 percentage points. You can see that Hillary Clinton was up by 5.1% on October 25th of 2016. And so for Kamala to be tied is a gruesome prospect. And this is not even accounting for the pollsters skewing left. Just imagine what the real result will be in only 10 short days. Anyways, folks, comment down below, like the video, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.